This is Glenda Dawson, and I have Moongirl here with us, and you're watching the Paranormal Dolls. How are you, Moongirl?
I am great. How are you? Excited about our wonderful guest, Greg, a great friend and fellow Aquarian. So go,
There
Greg.
you go, another Aquarian. Perfect. So, hi, Greg. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you.
Thank you for being here with us today. And I am sure the audience wants to hear all about you. So, we're going to just turn the floor over to you.
All right. Well, I'm a paranormal investigator. I've been doing this for about 15 years or so. And one of the areas that I find is a passion of mine in paranormal investigating is an area called ITC, intertransmental communication, basically meaning that any sort of electronic device that spirit can talk to, that's ITC communication. And it's been something that has really inspired me in the paranormal since the very beginning. As soon as I saw like the spirit box work for the first time, and when I've experienced it myself for the first time, being able to hear voices coming through that box that answer your questions, that to me, even now, is still pretty incredible. I never take that for granted. I love it. I've even been able to build up my intuitiveness and my mediumship using the box, and I often use it to reach out to people's loved ones who have passed. I don't do guarantees on that. I never like, oh, we'll definitely get them. But at the same time, one of the things that I've kind of honed is like I see in my mind how I can connect to somebody through spirit or being spirit, and that's included like I've reached out to historical figures. I've reached out to Abraham Lincoln. I've reached out to
an Aquarius as well.
Yes,
and believe in aliens, of course.
Absolutely, and Mary Todd Lincoln, and all these. It's just like, and people are just like, oh, come on, and they'll listen to it. And do I know that Mary Todd Lincoln is coming through the spirit box? I can't say for sure, but she's, whoever it is, certainly answering my questions. So there's something to be said about that.
It's a demon pretending to be.
Right. But and part of that too is like
demon anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Who cares if they're impersonating? They're answering my questions. Yeah, that's the best thing of all. And then I also do Monday through Friday. I do a radio show, nightly radio show on KTNF. That's AM950 in the Twin Cities. It gets broadcast all over the world, like this does. It's streaming, right? So everyone has an opportunity to watch, and that's called GhostBox Radio at 10:06 p.m. Central Standard Time. And once again, just like this show and a lot of other shows, all we want to do is we want to talk about paranormal. We want to talk about all these great conversations and bring on people who are interesting and just have a really good conversation. It's there's no judging of what anybody brings to the show. It's just a conversation, opening up different avenues of thought and understanding.
Planting those people.
Yeah.
Can you go ahead? Go ahead, Glenda.
Tell us how you got into the paranormal investigation part.
Sure. It's odd because it's not quite like so many people I've met on this journey, they're talking about the thing in the closet when they were like 5 years old, or shadow people, or their grandma coming to them after she passed, though mine did actually, but I got interested from watching of all shows, Ghost Adventures, because that was the first show I was watching where they're using the spirit box, and that truly got that just inspired me. Like I mentioned just a couple of minutes ago, that if someone's going to talk to you and have like responses that answer your questions, that seems pretty amazing to me. So it immediately inspired me. And the thing that I don't take from Ghost Adventures is the provoking. I don't feel like I need to investigate dark locations. It doesn't mean I haven't, but it's not like I know a lot of people have on their bucket list dark locations. Good for them, however you roll. But for myself, I just want to go places, and I firmly believe, just like you two will be able to do, I know, go anywhere and pick up spirit communication. Doesn't matter where we are, and that's the thing that I find, like I know people want to go to some of these locations sometimes because like the architecture or the history, all that, totally get that. But it's like I can be in my house and I can bring forward, voices and people answer my questions and loved ones and stuff. So that's what it got me into it. But then it was afterwards doing this journey, understanding the connection between what people call paranormal and people call metaphysical, and how they are actually the same. They're not different. We're all trying to talk to spirits, and that I understand that people want to use equipment and stuff as I do. It's fun, but that you don't necessarily have to, and that the greatest equipment of all is your body. That's kind of easy, but it's true at the same time. So, and that was really what it came down to for me. It was always being able to help people, to go and help people help spirits, because spirits need help. Sometimes they need, the guidance of us, because it sounds odd, but we're able to see better than they can sometimes, because they don't realize where they are. Crossing over is one of my specialties. It's something that I have learned over the past 4 or 5 years, that crossing over spirits is something that has really has made my life better, but also has made some spirits been able to move on when they really needed to. And I always feel like that they're always afraid to, because they're always afraid of what's waiting for them, and they don't want to do that.
Right. The dogma that's implanted in them.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
So you have this really wonderful show, and I was honored to be a guest on. Can you please tell us more about your awesome show and what you do on there?
So GhostBox Radio is a nightly show, Monday through Friday, 10:06 p.m. Central Standard Time. And what I really do, and I'm sure is what you both do as well, is you sit and think, what do I want to know more about? What do I want to understand better? Because there's stuff I don't understand. So I knew, like, for my first nightly show, I wanted to talk about dream interpretation, because I didn't know a whole lot about it. And also that I kind of had a weak correlation between a dream coming true. Let's talk about dreams, but in this case, interpretations. And then I saw Moongirl. She posted that she was doing a class with the University Magicus, and I thought, my gosh, I wonder if she would talk with me and be on the show. And that was
no, just kidding.
Nope, that I don't like you or your show. And
no, I support you. I support you. We're friends.
But that's what the show is about, is like finding people who are interesting and have interesting things to say, who want to make things better for people, or they're writing books. I love bringing on authors, because the research that they do, and the show's been running for less than 2 weeks, and I think I've had 4 authors on already. And
you need to have Glenda, because she's an author too, an amazing one.
Well, we'll definitely do that then. That'd be great. And then, the thing that I'm kind of shying away from is paranormal teams just coming to me and being like, "Would like to be on your show." And it's like, why is that? And because we're paranormal.
I'm sorry.
That's great, but if I did that for all the paranormal teams, then it just doesn't really. It's not to take away from their successes or anything, but you got to think about, like, what is it that makes it interesting and unique to bring people on? It sounds kind of crummy, especially when you say it out loud, but it's at the same time, it is though what it is, because it's like, you want to be able to get people excited. And is it because they people have something to say, or they just want to promote a team. And you find there's lots of ways to promote the team, but if there isn't anything really that we can hang our hat on for a conversation, if they were like, oh, we did, the Amityville house, like, yeah, I'd like to have you on. No one does the Amityville house, so it's not going to happen. So.
But it is true. It's something that you want, something unique to open up more avenues for people to talk about all this stuff. And
you definitely want it to be interesting. And, the one thing that I've noticed, like the moment I walked into the paranormal realm, and this was, all those years ago, is that, teams want to promote themselves, and there's nothing wrong with that. But as soon as I like befriend somebody who has a team in like the panhandle of Florida, they'll send me a like to like their Facebook page, like a team page. And it's like, sure, that's cool, I get it, but at the same time, what do all these likes mean? What do they mean if you have all these likes? And it's like, I'm not going to need a team at the panhandle of Florida for an investigation, and I'm speaking as someone who has a number of people all around the country that I can rely on to help me with stuff. I'm always wondering about what the reason is for why people need to have to really promote their teams, because it doesn't feel as much like we want to help other people, but more like we want a slice of fame, is what it always feels like to me.
That's the majority of people, even though they highly deny it. But when it comes down to it, and you are really in the community and you kind of, rub elbows with people, you see the truth about things. So, yeah.
You do. And first of all, if you're going to put effort in something, I understand why you're going to want to promote it. I mean, obviously, I want to promote my radio show. You both want to promote your stuff. I totally get it. But it just becomes like, happy birthday, like when it's your birthday and you get a message, happy birthday from such and such paranormal. Like, really? And then it's linked in the message, so that in that message, in the comments,
to the thing,
it's just like, well, what's the point? I mean, what is the point of that? I don't really understand. Also, what I've been noticing a lot, at least in
let's talk all of it. No, just kidding.
Let's go for it, right? I'm not hated. Let's close that gap. Is also the fact that do people even investigate private residences anymore? It feels like, well, that's it. But the thing is, it seems like the circle of people I see on Facebook, they're all about going to the events.
Right.
They're all, or if they're going to investigate, they're going to like a location that is like, not a private residence, but like
a well-known place.
Yeah. And it's like, once again, you be you do what you want to do, but it just feels like that the aspect of what paranormal investigating is, and maybe as far as I'm concerned, and maybe I'm the one that's way off here, is that it's been so diluted about whether or not, someone can meet the guys from, the Tennessee Wraith Chasers. I mean, it just seems like that, okay, well, that's what it becomes. It's like its own like little clique of people. In some areas, I call it a cult, depending on what we're talking about. But it truly is, and it's not so much about. Some are about forwarding the field. A lot of others just seem to be about wanting to go and get their pictures taken with celebrities or perceived celebrities, I guess.
Or when all they're doing is taking pictures, and that's like the whole thing. Like, I mean, I get you're excited, you want to take pictures and promote and everything, but when the whole event is just picture after picture, what are you really there for?
And I've heard about some people that I know that they were going from table to table to just get selfies with everybody, and it's just all it is that they're trying to prove.
Look at Glenda's face.
Right.
I'm like, what is it, a party?
And all they want to do is give the impression that they know all these people where they don't know any of them. I mean, they may think that they know them, but then they'll walk away, and the people at the table, because I've seen this firsthand, And then when people told me this from like this last weekend at a big paranormal convention that someone did that, and that the once they walk away, the people are like, what was that? You know? So yeah, so that's my take on the paranormal.
Yeah. Well, most of the stuff that I do, I can't even talk about because it is a private house. And the agreement is that they don't want everybody to know that it is a, for all intents purposes, haunted location. Because then you do have all these paranormal teams crushing in, and they want their private life. They just want to know who's there, why, when did they exist, the history of it.
Yeah.
So,
And then on that hand, there is some people like if I'm going to do a residential, I ask them like, do you want this out there? Do you want me to film it? Not if so, then cool, I'll film it. If not, that's fine. I understand because it is a private residence. It's not just a building, you know. And then people, guess what? We get to leave.
Yeah.
They stay there.
right.
So you have to be careful with that too. If you are going to go investigate or exercise, you know, a residential home, because you get to leave. They are stuck there. There could be kids there. Whatever you conjured up or whatever you opened, if you don't know what you're really doing, and let's be honest, a lot of people don't, no offense, and then they get stuck with that. Not everyone has money to just get up and move. And that's another thing I really hate about like shows and people like, they could have just moved. It's not that easy to get up and move, okay? You need money to move. Yeah. You have a family, you need to find a place just to like, you know, put the light on. It's not that easy. So you have to really take in consideration the family who lives there when you're going to investigate a residential home.
Exactly.
Very much so. And we do similar to, we have paperwork that they sign that we have 3 options for how much we let out, you know, like full disclosure, leaving their name off, or nothing whatsoever, complete lockdown. And what, you know, I think, you know, you wonder the people who are looking for fame and stuff, if they did, like they had the client's like complete lockdown. We don't want anyone to know anything about anything going on here. And they get the most amazing evidence ever. You know, you wonder about some of these people, if they would actually honor that, because they should, they need to.
Right.
But I guess I'm so soured in a sense, because I haven't seen a whole lot lately that makes me feel like that people are like that they're not there just for themselves in this field. And it's I know that they are, but I just haven't been seeing it lately, and it's been a real bummer for me.
Yeah, they're not honoring the paranormal field.
Yeah.
Instead, they're bringing it down sometimes.
I think so sometimes, yeah.
So, have you ever had anything that has occurred to you or that you have experienced that has put you over the top? Like, you know, one of those, oh my goodness moments.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a couple, and when you say the oh my goodness moments, are you saying like good or scary?
Good.
Whichever one you want to go with, Greg. All ears.
Because
I had good, like you know,
good, because you know, there obviously I think we've all had both, a little bit of both. For me, a very positive one was we were at the Grand House in Rush City, Minnesota in November, and it was a group that we took that had taken our paranormal class. I do a paranormal class with Shar. She does a lot of mediumship work, and she is very talented. And we team up and we do a class 6 weeks. And after we do that class, we take students to a location to investigate. And this location normally is the Grand House, because it is so even keeled. It's active, but not threatening. And so even the people who are worried about it, they leave there going like, yeah, there was nothing to worry about here. One night in November, we did a kind of an experiment where we didn't want to do an Estes method, which the Estes with the spirit box and stuff, I think one of the most silliest things around personally. Good friends of mine do it and they get great success from it, but I would only do it with people I trust. If it's people I don't trust, because the whole purpose of the Estes is you're wearing headphones, you have on, you're listening to a spirit box. If you don't know the people, they can say whatever they want, and you don't.
I'm sure some of them have.
And they have. Like I do a show with a gentleman named Greg Koss. I mean, I trust him and I trust the people he has on, so I don't worry about it. But so Shar came up with an idea of doing it a little bit differently, where everyone else can hear, but there's one person who has headphones on and blindfold, and they're pretty much isolated, and they just say what's coming to them. So they're channeling.
Right.
And what ended up happening is what I think of as like a grand slam in paranormal investigating. We recorded it all, and we were mainly over 2 floors in the hotel. A Tree, who is channeling, and Shar up there with Andrea and myself and Lisa on the floor below, and we were communicating between phones that were on speakerphone, so we could all hear everybody. The only person who couldn't hear anything was Tree. And what became very apparent is that there was 2 spirits that were trying to get through, and one being a young boy, the other being the mother. And from what we can understand is that the young boy drowned in the pond in the back, and they can't see each other. They're both in the same location, but they can't see each other. The mother has passed. She probably lived a life, like full life, and she passed at some point and crossed. We believe that the boy never crossed. He didn't know. At one point when we're trying to cross him, he's talking about the light. It's so scary. He doesn't know. He doesn't know what's going on around him. We were getting names that were coming through the spirit box that later she would say. Michael would be one of them. We would get the name as a EVP. We would get the boy's voice as an EVP, and multiple EVPs where it's the same voice. We got knocking on walls. We got shadow figures. We got, sounds of feet running up to somebody, which all this occurred over 18 minutes. At the end, we ended up reuniting the son and the mother. And that, it's so emotional. The recording is so emotional, but I'm saying give it justice. But at the very end, we get this EVP over Shar and Tree talking as a woman, we believe is the mother, saying, it's over now. It's very powerful. But then at the very end of that, about a week later, one of the folks on our team, I think it was Austin, he found like legitimate paperwork about Michael that he had drowned. He was 5 years old. And all the stuff that we're getting. And this is what we do this for. We didn't realize this is what was happening. When we did a presentation about it on Friday at the Grand House, and it was the place was sold out. There was about 41 people there wanting to hear this. And I just said to them, this is a slow burn. If you're coming in here waiting to hear huge knocking on walls and screaming and stuff, this takes a while to build up. But when it does build up, this is going to be, it's very emotional. It's very beautiful. And, it still affects, it affects all of us who did it, but really like Tree, who was channeling everybody. She still can't talk about it without getting really emotional about it, because it's truly changed her life. It's changed our life, but it truly changed her life. Just ridiculous in a good way. It's just like this actually happens. And when you get those validated moments that are validating each other, I find it hard for skeptics even to be able to say, well, that's just because of this, that, and this. Like, is it? I don't think so. So that was a great one.
What would you tell a skeptic if because I know there's many out there, and I get this question too. What would you tell one if they, kind of questioned or asked you about it? What would you?
I would just say that's their choice. I won't engage in it because it's it's fruitless, and
Yeah.
everyone has a right to have their opinion. I know what I know, they know what they know. And I find it always funny that a lot of skeptics that I talk to, they're very adamant, they don't believe in any of this. Then they pause and they'll be like, but there was that one time, and they'll talk about one of the most amazing things I've ever heard of in my life, and then they'll talk about, but then there was this other time. And it's kind of, to me, for those who do that, for me, it's always about like, well, what would it take then? I mean, honestly, what would it take if this doesn't make you think differently? You don't have to become a full believer, but to still be like, well, I don't believe in any of this stuff. And then they talk about that. It's like, what does it take then for you to be able to see things a little bit differently? But as long as people are respectful to me, I'll be respectful back to them. I won't engage in it because I just don't want to. I want to respect their opinion. Yeah.
But it's always rewarding when you prove them wrong. I'm sorry.
Well, if you've gotten somebody who actually said, "Oh, I see it now." I mean, for me, it's been very rare. There might have been a handful of times at the most, but I feel like
I'm open to it now. I believe in some of it now. You know, I guess that's probably as far as I've gotten for when it comes to like real big skeptics. But they're very like, you know, this is what I believe, so blah blah whatever. But yeah.
It's very true, and even at that too, it's funny because there's a lot of people who I've run into who are very set with that opinion of being a skeptic. So it's like no matter where I take it or what we can do or to show, a lot of those people are going to have their heels in the ground so much that they're not going to go back on it. You know,
but that kind of makes me laugh a little bit because I'm like, then why are you here then if you already don't believe in this? Why go to the events? Why go to the investigations? Or why leave comments on people's stuff? It's like, if you already don't believe and that's already your mind, you made up then why even engage in it? Just move it along.
We did an event at a place called the Anderson House in Wabasha, Minnesota about 2 years ago. And a guy came there. He was a ex-cop, and he came there. And I find with ex-cops, either you are totally in or you're totally out. I don't find an in-between with ex-cops. And this cop was there because his wife was really into it. But his energy was absolutely, because he did not believe in any of it. His energy was just really tough to get through because he just was so against it. Where at finally he showed up for the first night with us, and then he stayed in his room the rest of the time. And I just have this feeling his wife was like, just stay away. You know, you're not helping. I mean, he's just his body language and everything was just like, I don't want to be here. And it's like, you know, I get it, but you're ruining it for everybody.
Yeah.
He just
stay in your room.
He did, and no one missed him. I mean, it's like
not even the wife, especially the wife.
I don't think so at all. I mean, I think that she absolutely was like able to be herself because when you're in a situation,
she had the time of her life downstairs with you guys while he was in there.
Probably because if you're with somebody, like if you're close to somebody and you bring them along and they don't believe or whatever, and they might even think that you're silly for even believing, you're not going to be able to have a good time. You're not going to be able to be yourself.
Exactly.
Very true. But that happens in anything in life, unfortunately.
Totally. It really does. Yeah. It's like don't like, oh, I want to do stuff that my spouse wants to do. Well, if you're not into it at all, then just do everyone a favor and just don't go.
Yeah. Just let them go wherever they want to go. Just let them go. Let them do.
But do you also want to be with someone who thinks your interests are silly and stupid? You know, it's just like it goes hand in hand. Like I don't want to be with someone who thinks what I do is stupid and silly.
That's the most obvious part of it. That of course, me having been single for like the last 400 years, just even think about that. But you're absolutely right that if like, anytime you're just like, well, I think I believe in ghosts, and then it'd be like, well, you're just whatever. That's a red flag. My ex-wife was that way. When I first started getting into this, she was still living here at this castle I live in. And she would make fun of me, and I said, okay, well, what if I was able to bring spirits here and they can, you know, torment you? Would you still be the way you are? And she got very serious. She's like, no, don't you dare. Like, I had that ability. I didn't have that ability, but it was like, oh, so you do. You're gonna be that way, then don't be this way, you know.
I like that. I'm going to tell that anyone I date and they didn't give me that answer, I'm going to tell them what you said. You want me to bring spirits? And
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you're gonna be smart ass about it. I'm gonna, you know. I mean, it's just ridiculous, you know. Like those, like we talked about before, those provokers that are just, you know, like, you wait till they actually decide that they're sick of you. It's like prodding a tiger. You know?
You're poking a bear.
Yeah. And they might take it for a little bit, and then next thing you know, that you don't have a face anymore. I mean, it's just one of those things that it's some of those people I think are very lucky that, and I think it's that spirits just don't engage with some of that. They just like, you know, whatever. Some will. So
I have seen scratches actually happen while they were happening. Not on me, because I don't provoke, but there were people provoking and they were getting scratched and pushed and all that. And I'm like, yeah, that's the definitely answer for me. I don't want to be what you're doing. I don't want to be. And that's when I really, truly decided that I didn't want a team. It's going to be one or two other people just so we could go together. But, you know,
I couldn't agree more. You know, and the funny thing is I didn't want a team because I didn't want egos, and in a way,
that always happens. Yeah,
people might say, well, you not wanting to have a team means you have an ego, and I can kind of understand that. But there's a team that I know. I won't say where because it might give away everything.
Right.
But you almost think they're a paramilitary organization, you know, by the way that they dress and act and the hierarchy and all the other things. It's like, do you even have fun with this? I mean, just, and, you know, you pay dues and you're all this stuff. And, you know, they're all about getting on the TV shows, like, not like, and I don't mean like, you know, the Travel Channel shows or Discovery Plus. I mean, like the local TV shows, like if we're doing something about Halloween or something, so the rest of us don't even have a chance. And so I guess I'm saying they're local to me. But the thing is, it's like, it is so like, they're very big, and they do a lot of house investigations and stuff. But I feel, to me, it feels very constricting to be in an organization like that when it comes to that. I also understand that you want to keep things in order because, you know, like we talk about ego and stuff, but once I get the idea of someone is being very egotistical and all this, I just back away. I was like, I'm out. I don't need to be a part of this. Won't make a deal of it. It's just like, you just won't hear from me anymore.
Exactly. But that was definitely when I decided that it's best I try solo, and we just, with people that I trust that are thinking the same way I'm thinking, and we don't go through this.
It's a lot of ego and very competitive. Very.
Yeah. It's like the accordion diagram of doing it. It's like you just grow it as you need it, and then you can. And to your point, Glenda, it's just like, there's people that I know I can trust to bring in to investigate it, and they do that for me. And I don't think I ever investigate with teams at all. I always investigate with other individuals, come to think of it.
Yes. And well, my partner and I, he goes with me now wherever I go, basically to be there, to kind of, because he's very energetic, right, Sarah?
He's our bodyguard.
Yeah, he's my bodyguard. So
he's Whitney Houston and Ben Costner, yes.
But so he's there for that. But we really tried, both of us, to just keep it at minimal. And since I do a lot of residential, the people prefer that. They don't want
a lot of people to come in
their whole house, and wrecking the place and all that other stuff. So.
And it is really important to have people that you fully trust. I mean, that they're not going to try to be competitive and nasty towards you, because at the end of the day, it is a team, and you are the same goal is for us to find evidence or to teach you something, whatever, educate you. So, and then plus you want to be around good energy, people that are not trying to be mean or nasty to you. They're there for that and to support you. And it's really hard to find that. So, it's easier when you just kind of select who you want to investigate with versus a group of a lot of people that maybe you don't click well with.
Very much so. And also I've found too, like the investigations that I do that are not events, it's like you got to make sure that the people you're investigating with, and this sounds pretty bad actually, but it's on the same level as you are, on the same, they're on the same, that they've been doing it for around the same amount of time that you've been doing it, that they're not people who've never done it before. Because I get a lot of people who are like, oh, there's this place that's up the road or whatever, we should go investigate it. And I'm like, well, I don't know you. You gotta be careful of that stuff, because you end up with, some people get scared out of their mind. And it's, to me, it's like I had a situation where someone got frightened, and I'm not making fun of the fact they got frightened, because it can be very, but my level of experience is different than their level of experience. So what they got frightened about is not frightening to me. But it doesn't invalidate that they got frightened. But that's what you got to be careful for. And ultimately, you always talk about a chain, right? And what's the weakest link in a chain? And that's when stuff might get in and affects everybody. And that's kind of what happened. And you just have to be careful about that sort of thing. And I know it sounds harsh, but at the same time, I think people downplay how spirit can really affect your body, your personality, your inner workings, just your ability to do simple things. And you have to be careful about all of that stuff.
Definitely. Especially if you end up with somebody who has seen it on TV. This is the way to do it. And they're going in there and they're like, oh, and I'm like, we're going to get attacked. Okay, bring a protection before it even thinks about it. Because the second they open their mouth, you're like, oh, here we go.
Well, also with people who are very new, and I understand everybody has to start somewhere, so I'm not talking crap about that. Everybody needs to start somewhere. But if you're not very experienced and you're just going by what you see on TV, that's not necessarily what we actually do or how we go about things. You only get like the exciting moments, the climaxes on TV. You don't see the actual, sometimes you're in a location and you're there for hours and you don't catch a damn thing. Other times you go in and you see the craziest, things ever. And so it's cut, the episode's cut just for like 30 minutes, an hour if you're lucky. Right. So if you're just going by what you're seeing, that's not really your teacher. In other words, don't get confused. There's a lot that goes into it, not just going to a place and then you just, whatever happens.
And there's people who are really all about and I'm thinking about an event that I did last year at the Mertz. It was a funeral parlor. It was called Mertz, and it was in York, Nebraska. And we were doing another experiment, and the people I was with, the guy was suddenly like, oh, I feel something in the back of my head. I feel something on my neck, and it was like, all right, I can tell this stuff very quickly. I'm sure you both too could do it as well. When you're at an event, and the way that people talk, the way that they dress, what kind of investigator they're going to be. And this guy had ghost adventures written all over him. And this is what he's thinking that these things are like. And so he's just like, the back of my neck, it's burning. And I'm just like, and all I said was light. And so someone puts a light on him, and I look, and there's nothing there. He goes, okay, well, just let me know if something else happens. Okay. And then he's just like, my neck, it's burning again. And like,
sorry.
and there's scratches on the back of his neck, and his girlfriend, wife, whatever, she goes, "That's a sign of demonic possession." And people were kind of getting up and leaving, and I just stopped him, and I'm like, "Show me your hands." And he's like, "What?" I said, "Show me your hands." And he put up his hands, and there were skin marks, like skin in his.
Oh,
He scratched himself.
Oh.
And, I just said, "I'll make a deal with you. I won't make a big deal of this if you don't bring up any of your like supposed scratching again and stuff. You're taking down this event if you do. So let's play fair." Okay. Just like,
Yeah.
Get out.
Oh, I would have kicked him the heck out.
We were at the end. It was the end of the event.
Right.
So, at least, but yeah, otherwise it would have been like, "Get out of here, you joker." It's just
so weird. Like, why are you that desperate for attention? It's just so, especially as an adult, I just can't. I don't know if I just can't handle it when people are they just want so much attention. Like, just be who you are. I don't know. I'm sorry. That's a big turn off for me.
Famous, and they think that that's the way to do it.
It is. And the funny thing is, it's like, we've been investigating this place all night.
Right.
And we've had some interesting things happen. None of it which is provocative. None of it that spirit is provoking us at all. Not even close. And in fact, while everyone was upstairs at one point, I was with someone else, and I was using Spirit Box to reach out to their grandfather, the Spirit Box was giving absolutely on point answers. It was incredible. So there was nothing bad happening at this place, but yet this guy is just like, they're scratching me. And it's like, is it just because you're the devil, or is it just because you're faking it? One or the other, because there isn't anything bad here, but I feel like that some people feel like that they have to be the center of attention on these things. Like you said, Moongirl, whatever reason, I don't understand it either. I do not understand why they,
especially as a grown adult. I mean, maybe you're a teenager, maybe you're your 20s and you're just, whatever, but I'm sorry. Even then, I've seen teenagers and 20-year-olds act more mature, way more mature and friendlier than some people who are much older. And I'm like, wow, that always blows my mind. I'm like, ooh, okay.
Absolutely. It truly is like, and it's just, it really takes away the fun. And that's why I also, kind of made the deal with him, because I didn't want to ruin everyone else's fun there. And, there's going to be at least one person, if not more, going to be like, "Oh my gosh, what was that? Are we okay?" And you don't want to cause a panic either. I mean, this is meant to be fun. Events are not like investigations. Yeah, you investigate an event, but it's not an investigation. It's a bunch of people talking at once, and they're getting their chance to be able to
like a group event. Yeah,
have an idea of what it's like, but there's stuff that I'm sure you both, being at events and stuff and running them, you see that you normally would stop someone at an event at an investigation from doing, but you just let it go at an event because you want them to have fun. As long as they're provoking, as long as they're not like pretending that they're possessed or something, that's
although that has happened. You already know this, Greg. That has happened with those people who pretended they were
yeah, absolutely. And you've known too that I've had that happen too on my end, where it's just like, come on, and they're saying stuff, they're channeling stuff that we just talked about 10 minutes beforehand. Like there's no new information, but yet they're channeling and they're screaming and they have to be the center of attention. And the worst was that there was somebody at an event who she was very irresponsible, and she was, I guess she still is a medium, and kids. I don't know why there are kids at this event to start with. I was against that from the very start. From the 3 people that showed up at this event, there were some kids, and we're doing this investigation, and they said to her, "I'm a little scared." They literally said to her, "I'm a little scared because I don't know what to expect. I've never done one of these before." And she's like, "Don't worry, it's going to be all right." No less than 10 minutes later, she's possessed screaming, running around, and these poor kids, they're just like, what? And she's just, just like, get out of here. Just get out of here. Yeah.
Don't people realize that to really be possessed, it takes a lot? I mean, I in my background, in my past, I have done exorcisms. So I know that not everything that everybody says I'm possessed, you are possessed. You might have an attachment. Yes, I'll grant you that. But possession?
And that's if any, if
right.
at all.
I mean, out of the 20 that I have done, there was only actually 12 that were real. The other ones were just attachments.
When they say a famous celebrity, they find out who your favorite dead celebrity is, and they're like, they're right behind you. They've been with you all your life. Like, you're the reincarnation of that celebrity. You are the reincarnation of that celebrity.
What a great coincidence, huh? That you.
I know. I was just talking about how much I love that dead celebrity. Now you're saying that they're behind this person, and they're the reincarnation of the. So which one is it?
And I think you hit the nail right on the head too. With like, people don't understand, unless you're watching Ghost Adventures. And I'm sorry, I'm turning this hour into a bash on Ghost Adventures, but because there is more to me than that. But maybe not after all. But the thing is, the whole thing about that you have, like, anything to do with demonic anything takes time. It's not like, and if you do exorcisms, it's not one and done.
No, you gotta.
It could take years.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, even in The Exorcist, it took her a while before she got fully possessed.
And it was still not enough, because they had 2 more movies after that.
Exactly. And then the parody Repossessed, that was a funny one too.
But it is true. It isn't a snap of the fingers and wow, I'm possessed or anything like that. You may have attachments. You foolishly maybe allow the spirit to come in. That you didn't know who they were and the whole thing. But
people also try to do that on purpose. Like, they want to get possessed, or they're hoping they get an attachment to them.
And they don't realize, it could change you completely. It could destroy you. Mm-hmm. Because what it's doing is creating fear, which is what they feed off. And the more fear you have, the stronger they get.
And
the more they attach to you, literally.
Yeah.
So.
Very much so. You know what's great is if I crouch down enough, it almost looks like I'm wearing a priest collar.
I saw that, actually.
More of I can speak with more authority about it now.
There you go.
I probably have more, just doing this, I probably have more authority to speak on it than some of the demonologists out there that want to make it into a, into.
And by the way, I don't call myself a demonologist because I really don't want to do that. I just been called.
She's a McNugget demonologist. She's tiny but mighty.
I've been called into it because I bring in the light. That's all.
Yes, absolutely.
Not because that's my favorite thing to do.
My favorite thing I've seen so far, though, was once again Ghost Adventures, when they did the demon house. They had that demon house, and they had one of the little girls that used to live there. They took her to a Catholic church, and the priest looks at her, and she showed, if you're just going by outward appearances or even how she's acting, that there is nothing like going on with her that's demon or anything. He looks at her and he goes, "This girl needs an emergency exorcism." And like, what is an emergency exorcism? Like, do you break a glass and you take out a crucifix from it or something? I mean, I don't know what it is, but I just was like, this is ridiculous. I mean, anyone who knows anything about, first of all, Catholicism knows that everything moves at the speed of snail.
Oh,
And
yeah.
It takes forever to you have to like actually have evidence to convince them to send everything.
And
It's
they
not
have
just
to approve it, which could
it.
take years sometimes.
Years, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But yet this guy's like, we're gonna do an emergency exorcism, and it's like, and he casts it away, it appears, within 15 minutes. I mean, it's not only emergency, but it's in the speed lane of exorcisms, and it's
Speed of light.
She paid an extra fee for speed speedy recovery.
It was ridiculous. So it was just like, come on, you guys. And finally, I think that's what finally made me just like, I can't even watch this anymore. I used to watch it for entertainment value, and then it was just like, yeah, this is
and
even for me, it's too much.
We understand that they're entertainers.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. They could be doing 2 weeks worth of shooting and finally have enough stuff for that time period. But it's not as pretty as it looks.
No, it's not. And but you can't tell anyone that, no one.
It's TV. They have to glamorize everything, or and
right. And I don't know if we're going to have a lot of shows around much longer. I mean, through the streaming, they still have them, but I feel like that the networks are kind of canceled most of them anyway. Adventures moved to Discovery. You still have Dead Files and Ghost Hunters, but so many of those other shows seem to be gone now, and I can't help but think that maybe that's not a bad thing. I mean, entertainment value is not, for at least for the field, but who knows? I mean, it'll be interesting to see, because I feel like we're at a crossroads a little bit with everything.
Oh, for sure. I feel it. I think there's going to be big changes. For sure.
Yeah. And I can't say whether it's good or not, but I mean, just me being kind of a perpetual frowny face, I'll probably be annoyed with it regardless of which way it goes. So, kind of, at least I know what I am, right? At least
we're honest.
Yeah, I got to be honest about these things. If you're going to dish it out, you got to take it back. So
there you go. So we do have a few minutes left, about 6 minutes left. Is there anything we haven't touched on that you really want to tell?
And do you have any upcoming events and where we can catch you? Is there hit us up with links, infos? What do you got going on?
I got, after all this talk about having people only want to do events and stuff and whatever, I have some events coming up that people might want to check out. And, it's like, and, for those who only want to meet, celebrities and stuff, I have one with a celebrity coming up as well. So it's like, it's a complex life I lead, but a lot of internal struggles. But we do have an event with Dave Schrader coming up August 20th at the Anderson House in Wabasha, and Dave has been really awesome to work with and stuff. And we sold out the hotel, but we have a handful of tickets left, but you'd have to stay somewhere else, and we would help. We wouldn't help book it for you, but we would give you some suggestions on where to find lodging and stuff. And that's the 18th through 20th in Wabasha, Minnesota. Every first Wednesday of the month, Shar and I do Ghost Stories and Beyond, which is just a get together of people where we talk about spirit communication. We talk about ghost stories, or we bring in guests and talk and stuff. And that's once a month, and it's really fun. And we hear what our audience that come in to listen, what they have to say, what their experiences are. We even got people to talk about UFOs and stuff like that, and also Bigfoot. So it's been a lot of fun. And then we're going to have another one we haven't announced yet over at a Masonic lodge in September that we're going to do an investigation at. So we like to do the events because we do talk about the right ways to investigate, at least the ways that we like to investigate, which I consider the right way, but I mean, you're miles away.
Aquarian in the God complex, yes, always.
Yeah,
It's always the best way and the only way.
Right. Well, all we ask is you don't call spirits a POS, and just kind of keep it nice and fun, right? Is that too much to ask?
No.
And so, but I mean, it's nice to do, and it's fun to give people that opportunity to do that if they don't want to be a part of a team or really want to dip into it. And that is the fun way of doing it, is like, but we also sage them when we leave. We also, throw holy water on them when we don't do that. But, we want to make sure that when they leave, that they are safe. Like, they're our responsibility. If they're doing everything right, and they're enjoying, we just want to make sure that they're okay. I mean, we're there watching, making sure that no one, because you all know what it's like when you see like something get too overwhelming for somebody. We're just making sure that we don't see that. If we do, we might just kind of take them to the side, just like, are you okay? Just want to make sure you're okay. We're not going to be like pointing at them in front of everyone like, you're possessed, We'll just,
you're a castaway, you're possessed.
Just start throwing holy water on them, and just cross, just really. But no, we do our best to try to make sure everyone is safe and have a good time. We don't want to, even though I spent the last hour talking about how I think people should do things, and I'm very, clear cut about that. As long as you're not being a jerk to anyone there or to spirits, just have fun. As long as you're allowing everyone to have a chance to enjoy themselves. I don't investigate these things. I step back because this is for me, this is for them. So
And if they have fun, then it raises the vibrations, and the chances of anybody getting hurt is slim to none.
It is. And I've had some groups come to me at some events, and they, you just like, did you just witness a puppy get run over? Because you have no energy whatsoever. And like then that becomes my job to raise the energy of them in the room so that they are having fun again. And sure enough, as soon as you start doing that, you start getting some reactions and stuff. I mean, it's amazing that connection between of energies, and like is attracting like, and all of that. And people who don't believe it, I hope that they can experience it one day so that they can see, because it is beautiful, actually.
Well, thank you, Greg. It was wonderful. Is there a website or someplace they could find you?
Feel free to like my Facebook page, GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun, and then also do ghostboxradio.com, and that's where all the previous shows are. So if you want to go listen to Moongirl, and that was a great episode. That was a lot of fun. I had a lot
of fun. Thank you again for having me. It was a lot of fun.
It was great. Matter of fact, the owner of the station called me the next day, and he said how much he enjoyed that one in particular.
Oh, yay!
That was really cool.
One for the Moongirl. Yeah.
That since that Monday, everything has not been as good since then. So he didn't say that. But yes, yes, exactly. Please go there, but go to GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun on Facebook, and please like it. We post stuff all the time on there too. So hopefully you find it worth your time and effort and energy.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for being here with us.
Back in another time and hear more about all your experiences.
You need to go on Glenda's Den, and you need to go on GhostBox Radio.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
Hooking people up.
Have a good one. Thank you, everyone.
Oh my God.
Love you. Bye.